While helping Nadia complete her English homework, the instructions called for her to circle the misspelled words in the handful of sentences provided. And Nadia was then prompted to rewrite the sentences with the correctly spelled words. And I noticed that most of the sentences had 2 misspelled words, but there was one sentence that had 1 misspelled word and a correctly spelled word in the wrong context. And as Nadia completed her homework, my mind wandered and wondered, what could a 3rd grader's homework assignment reveal about Isaiah 35? How many words did Isaiah misspell in the Hebrew? Which words did the prophet insert that might be spelled correctly but were the wrong word choice for the specific context? And then reading from right to left, I discovered that everything was spelled correctly and that there were virtually no questions in regard to the syntax of Isaiah 35 raised among biblical scholars. However, much of the scholarly debate that exists today has little to do with the content of Isaiah 35, but more to do with its context. It is still relatively early on a Sunday morning, and most of us are not prepared to discuss the various theories put forth on how the prophetic book of Isaiah was assembled. And my suspicion is that this close to Christmas, we have more pressing matters to tend to than the potential structure of Isaiah's massive book. So fortunately, theologian Barbara Lundblad gift-wrapped the debate in simple terms, writing of Isaiah 35, "This text shouldn't be here." This text shouldn't be here. Isaiah 1 through 39 are chapters that mostly center on the prophet's message of gloom and doom. And yet Isaiah 35, with its twin themes of comfort and joy, seems to more naturally fit with Isaiah chapters 40 through 66, written roughly 154 years later. Like the rose-colored candle that sticks out like a sore thumb on the Advent wreath, so does the poetry of Isaiah 35. Biblical scholar Taylor Mayfield remarks that Isaiah 35 stands in sharp contrast to Isaiah 34 depiction of Edom. Isaiah 35 is akin to being a passenger in a vehicle where the driver makes a sharp turn without warning. And both our stomachs and this morning's breakfast decorate the back seat. And honestly, Lundblad is not wrong to suggest, nor are we who might believe that today's scripture reading from Isaiah is a word out of place. Perhaps we come to worship with the expectation that Isaiah might dare utter such a word out of place in our lives. A word about a light dawning when everything else has grown dark. A word of hope in a season marred by our own despair. A word of peace to souls familiar with strife. A word of new life amid freshly dug graves. A word of victory announced in what was thought to be certain defeat. A word about a way where there seems to be no way. In Isaiah 34, the prophet marches out the Lord's judgment against Edom, warning, "Edom's streams will be turned into pitch, her dust into burning sulfur. Her land will become blazing pitch. It will not be quenched day and night. Its smoke will rise forever." And apparently turn signals are optional for the prophet, as he opts not to use one to indicate a swift and unsuspected change of direction. And as our seatbelts tighten around us, Isaiah drops a poem, a word out of place. The prophet sings, the desert and the parched land will be glad, the wilderness will rejoice and blossom. On this third Sunday of Advent, I appeal to the wisdom of other poets to help me appreciate more fully the poetry of Isaiah 35. Poet Sarah Parr, in Admonition, borrows and lengthens Sylvia Plath's work, writing, "If you dissect a bird to diagram the tongue, you'll cut the cord articulating the song. If you flay the beast to marvel at the mane, you will wreck the rest from which the fur began. If you pluck out my heart to find what makes it move, you'll halt the clock that syncopates our love." In this moment, I am betrayed by my own theological training. I was taught how to dissect and flay and pluck apart Scripture for greater levels of clarity. These were lessons that on most occasions have served me well. It is useful to know history. It is helpful to be able to discern how a Hebrew word functions within a specific passage of Scripture. And on Sunday mornings, we merely catch a glimpse of the tip of the iceberg of the deep scholarship that surrounds the Scriptures down through the ages. I could dissect, flay, and pluck apart each line of Isaiah 35. But to do so, I fear, has the potential to restrict the way that this word out of place might flow into our lives as good news. I could dissect, flay, and pluck apart each image the prophet provides, but to do so, I am convinced might rob us of our wonder, love, and praise for the poetry of Isaiah 35. Isaiah's poem is directed to an unspecified people filled with fearful hearts. The poetry of Isaiah 35 can function as a word out of place to any with feeble hands and unsteady knees. Whether in the longing of the Jews in the exile or exilic period for home, or Christians anticipating the return of Christ at the end of time. Do you know anyone with a fearful heart? Someone fearful of what the test results might reveal? Someone afraid that there is more month than money? Someone worried about the death of a loved one? Someone anxious about the wars and rumors of wars on the evening news? Do you know anyone that needs a word out of place? Do you know anyone that needs to hear that the desert and the parched land will be glad, the wilderness will rejoice and blossom? Do you know somebody that needs to hear the imperative, be strong, do not fear, and be reassured that your God will come? Your God will save you. On this third Sunday of Advent, I do not know what kind of changes that you seek, what you sigh for, what sorrows have brought you tears. I do not know what haunts your each heart in this room, but I trust Isaiah's word out of place. Old Testament scholar Walter Brueggemann observes that the poet voices an active, insurgent, powerful God who comes with a great intention. And in Isaiah 35, we discover that God intentionally transforms the wilderness, the dry ground, and the desert conditions so that they become places teeming with new life and new possibilities. Like the crocus, the desert will burst forth into bloom. It will rejoice greatly and shout for joy. And for dramatic effect, Isaiah names 3 of the most fertile places in the Holy Land: Lebanon, Carmel, and Sharon. Writing, the glory of Lebanon will be given to it, the splendor of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. And the poem shifts from a description of the earth's transformation to the makeover of humanity. God not only cares for the earth, but moves to bring humanity to wholeness. And while no longer politically correct theologian Stanley Hauerwas once referred to the church as disabled, whenever and wherever her members are found in brokenness. God moves toward a disabled humanity, and the prophet announces good news. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute tongue shout for joy. Scholars offer a myriad of ways to interpret these lyrics. However, for me, the most compelling interpretation draws a link to Jesus and his ministry. As we heard in our gospel reading from Mark 11 this morning from Doug, John the Baptist from prison summons his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you the one who was to come, or should we expect someone else?" And Jesus answered John's disciples, saying, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor." Matthew, steeped in the writings of the Old Testament, uses this word out of place from Isaiah 35 to make sense of what God was doing in and through Jesus Christ. And in a footnote in my Bible on Luke 7, which parallels the passage from Mark 11, it offers the following summary, reading that Jesus did not give promises, but clearly observable evidence that reflected the predicted ministry of the Messiah. Which is why the gospel is filled with stories of people whose lives were touched by the healing and restorative power of Jesus. What propels our rejoicing on this day is knowing that Christ has come to offer us healing and restoration. Christ has come to transform our lives so that God's goodness might gush in our wilderness and streams flow in our deserts. We delight in the brass music this morning, reminding us that Christ's highway cuts through the badlands of exile so that all the prodigals have a safe route to return home. We sing on this third Sunday at Advent, inching ever closer to Christmas. Because Isaiah 35, this word out of place, demands that we do so, saying, "They will enter Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing will flee away." So this morning, if you are willing and able, I invite you to stand and let us sing together our next hymn, number 234, "O Come, All Ye Faithful." Please stand as you are able and let us sing together.